And we're back from a short break because apparently we're still having some issues with our sound computer, so I apologize for that. So today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet. So you get yourself a copy of that as soon as you can. Now, if you're looking to get a signed copy, visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the book club section, and you can get yourself a copy there. And follow the directions, and you'll get you'll be able to get a signed copy. Now, if you're looking just to get a copy of the book, you could do that right now as we speak by visiting www.amazon.com, or even you can go up to barnesandnoble.com as well. You can get yourself a copy of the books there. So I apologize. We had a little problem with our sound system, but fear not, because the main thing, as we hear the famous Windows little tune there, is my main man, Larry Hazzard. He joins us right now. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Billy. How you doing?
I'm doing better than my sound system. You know, it's been giving me all kinds of trouble yesterday and today. But, hey, the show goes on, my man. The show goes on. So speaking of which, we got to see some pretty good fights this past weekend. I want to get your thoughts on Triple G against David Lemieux. I thought it lived up to what it did. I thought that Triple G put on a clinic. I thought he surgically dismantled Lemieux. I loved it. I think that this guy lived up to the billing, and if there's people that are watching him and they're not going to give him credit, I don't know what this guy has to do. What do you think of the fight, Lemieux's performance, the whole nine?
I thought it was what I expected. It was a proverbial beatdown, man. I mean, Triple G is the real deal. And I also thought that Chocolito did a great job. You know, so, hey, all he has to do, Triple G, is keep right on winning. And he'll sit and wait now to see what happens between Canelo and Cotto. That looks like the next big one for him. You know, that's a must-see, I think, and they got to make that fight. So, like we've been saying all along, you know, it seems like there's this non-acceptance of Triple G, and the great acceptance of fighters who don't perform in the fashion that he does. I mean, it's like everything is turned inside out. But all he has to do is just keep doing what he's doing, and see what he does that makes him such an attraction is that he finishes guys off. You know, he breaks them down and then he finishes them off. That's what we used to seeing in boxing. I was at the Garden. It was a packed house. I mean, it was. I felt like, you remember when Roberto Duran fought Davey Moore at the Garden? Well, it had that type of atmosphere for me. You know, it was a packed house. The crowd was very lively, and the way the fight ended was just beautiful, man. And I love knockouts. I love, dramatic finishes. And, there's nothing else that you can ask of Triple G other than to keep winning and keep knocking these guys off the way that he's doing. Because I do believe that he is the next, the heir apparent in boxing to Floyd Mayweather. I really think so.
I think you're right, and I also think that you're 100% right, and I agree with you about his breakdown of David Lemieux. I mean, he methodically broke him down. I think I counted 3 times in the fight that Triple G actually took a step backwards. You know, even when Lemieux was throwing punches, Triple G moves forward, and I think that totally messes up his opponent because they can never seem to get on track. Then when you add in that jab that he uses it when he needs to, and it's so effective. You could tell that it was hurting Lemieux, just a jab. And then you could see after a couple of rounds, Lemieux just anticipating getting rocked. But I thought that really what changed that fight and for all intent purposes, Larry, the fight was over, was the knockdown from the body shot. I thought that was the end of the fight.
Oh, man.
You know, because he never really recovered from that. And you know, it just seemed like everything after that hurt him. You know, no matter where the punch went, I just don't think he recovered from it. And he wasn't arguing too much about the stoppage until the next day, you know. And
well, that's always, you know, that's always, and that's the old Archie Moore saying, kill the body, and the head, and everything else goes. And that was a typical methodical beatdown, man. I mean, it was just methodical, little by little. You could see it, and I saw a few instances there where fight could have been stopped, you know, before, you know, it happened.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, he gave the fans everything they came to see. But I don't know what else you can ask them.
Well,
just keep right on winning.
I think that, you know, and like you're describing the energy, I think he brings that. I was a little surprised to hear some of the preliminary pay-per-view numbers were kind of lower than I thought. I haven't heard anything official yet, but they came in way lower than what I thought, which surprises me. I mean, the Garden was sold out, and he seems to sell out wherever he goes, and people are excited about him. So I don't get it. But
I don't. You know, really, somehow I think that there's maybe not intentional. Maybe it's just that the American fight fans. It seems to be an unintentional. I'm going to use that word, unintentional, because I don't really think that it's really prejudicial or anything like that. But there seems to be some type of bias against the foreign fighters who actually seem to be taking over the sport now. You know, the big stars in boxing are these foreign Eastern Bloc guys, you know, Polish fighters, the guys from Russia. You know, you're what, 2 or 3 of your biggest stars in the game. You know, they're not Americans, Native Americans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, not Native Americans, but you know, American fighters. You know.
No.
And I think that there's a little bit of a bias against these guys that we're just not used to paying, you know, pay-per-view, you know, money to see these guys fight. But I think as time goes on and they begin to, you know, become, you know, more of a name here, that people will begin to see them. I mean, I would pay to see, you know, even though I was there, I would have no problem with paying whatever, $50, $60 to see Triple G fight, because I know that I'm going to get my money's worth.
Right.
You know, I'm a pure boxing fan, and that's, you know, that's the way I look at it, man. Wherever I see the talent and I see the excitement, and I like to see guys break the fighter down and then take him out. Either stop him or take him out. That's the name of the game.
Exactly. And
to me, that's the science. That's the science of boxing.
You're right. And he does it in an exciting, entertaining way. You know, a lot of people that don't know just think he's this knockout killer puncher, and he's not. He breaks down his opponent. You know, he's fun to watch. You know, the only hole in his game that I see is a little defense. He does take shots.
Defense, yeah.
But the guy doesn't seem to be effective. We were always wondering. We were always saying, you know, he hasn't really taken a shot from a big puncher. Well, he took some shots from Lemieux on Saturday.
Lemieux's a big puncher.
Yes,
Lemieux
he is.
Is known as a big puncher in that division. He's a big puncher.
And he didn't affect Triple G much. And speaking of Lemieux, you know, I give Lemieux a lot of credit for taking this fight. And to be honest with you, Larry, I don't think that his value drops at all. As a matter of fact, I think he pretty much stays where he is. I think he picks right up where he left off. And I wouldn't be surprised if those two paths cross again someday.
Well, that's what happens. And I hope this message, you know, at some point really permeates the minds of some of these up-and-coming kids, these younger fighters coming up, is that if you lose to somebody, then your value doesn't drop. Your value stays. But if you lose to a bum, then of course your value is going to drop.
Right.
So I say that to say that a loss, 1 loss, 2 losses, or 3 losses against top-rate fighters, okay, doesn't really drop your value as long as you continue to win your share. Because, again, I point to history. You look at some of the greatest fighters ever in the sport of boxing, they had losses on their records, yet they Hall of Famers. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, no, I don't think Lemieux's value drops anywhere. I mean, he fought the best there was. So, hopefully he'll learn from it. That's what you hope to get from those type of losses. Maybe it'll make him a better fighter. But I don't think his value drops at all.
Now, one more thing before we move on to Gonzalez. I couldn't help but noticing the Suleiman hugging and kissing Triple G in the ring. I thought they were long-lost relatives, but it appears that the ruling has come out from the WBC that the winner of Cotto Canelo actually only has 15 days to start negotiations with a fight with Triple G. Otherwise, they're going to be stripped of the title. And it came out in the news today that Canelo and Cotto has already said it before, that if they have to fight Triple G, they want to fight at 155. I think that's ridiculous, Larry. It's a middleweight title. Yes, technically 155 pounds is a middleweight, but I think that if you're fighting for a title, whether it's middleweight or light heavyweight or welterweight, that you're able,
at that weight.
Well, you're allowed to go into that weight limit. If you feel more comfortable to fight at 155, let's say he feels more, he can do that. Let him come in. I mean, there was times when Floyd would come in a little lighter. He liked to feel, he wanted to feel it at his best performance weight.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
So
as long as you don't come over, as long as you don't go over the weight.
Exactly.
Okay?
And the point is that they're trying to get an advantage, thinking that the true middleweight is gonna dry out and not be able to. But I don't think that that's right. I don't think that. I think we have so many effing titles as it is. How can we operate in a sense where you have junior middleweights fighting 1 pound over the junior middleweight limit, and then forcing legitimate middleweight fighters to fight at 155? I don't get it. What's your thoughts?
Well, once again, well, that's why we're old school and we understand the game, and that's why we agree on most of these things. The fact of the matter is that I blame some of the blame I put on the sanctioning organizations, and somewhere in 20th century and now 21st century boxing, this invention of these catch weights. You heard that before? These catch weights. You didn't hear about any catch weights, back in the day when the game was really the game, So I blame a lot of this on that. And, you get this catch weight mentality, and now, you get these fights where guys come in where they know this is a fight that the fans really want to see. So now they come in with their master plans that's going to be to their advantage. If it's going to be a middleweight fight, the middleweight limit is 160 pounds. So it's ludicrous for you now to come in and demand that a natural middleweight fight below middleweight if he doesn't want to. That's your privilege. If you want to come in at 155, 156, 158, as long as you don't go over the weight, So I think it's ridiculous, and I think that this is where the sanctioning organizations should wield some of their power to put a stop to this.
Exactly, and I was just going to say, because let's face it, it's not the commission, because the commission is following the rule of the weight division and the rules within the weight division, and technically, the sanctioning body, they're not saying anything either, because 155 is a middleweight. It's the negotiation between the two fighters, and I agree. I think that at this point, a sanctioning body should step in and say, wait a minute, this is for our world middleweight title. We're not going to put a restriction of 6 pounds or whatever, 4 pounds on our fighter, to contend for our belt. You're right. This is when they have to step up and do the right thing instead of just accepting the check, right?
And in essence, what Cotto or any other fighter, I don't want to just say Cotto, but because it's rampant, okay? What they're actually doing in this particular case You're demanding that a middleweight fight actually more at junior middleweight.
Exactly.
Okay, he's not a junior middleweight. Okay, that's what you're demanding.
Exactly.
So you're changing the whole paradigm here of the weight division. You're fighting for a middleweight title at junior middleweight. That's ridiculous.
Hey, listen, Sergio Martinez was legitimately a junior middleweight. When he won the middleweight title, he didn't really put restrictions on the weight class. I mean, it is what it is. And
it is what it is.
It is. So
if you want to come into those waters, then you have to accept what it is. What should be happening is that the legitimate middleweight should be demanding that the other guy. You understand? No. If you want to, you can come up to middleweight and fight. You can come up to 160 pounds, but I'm not coming. I'm not going to come down where it's a disadvantage for me. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think that like I said, based on the bromance that was going on with Suleiman and Triple G, I have a feeling that there's going to be no restrictions on the weight. But the co-main event that night featured Roman Gonzalez and Brian Viloria. I loved both of these fights. I knew who I was leaning towards with the winner, but both opponents, Lemieux and Brian Viloria, were live underdogs. They were both, very, very good opposition, especially Brian Viloria. I thought this was a big test for Gonzalez, and I tell you, talk about a young kid, and he's a young kid. Talk about a young guy that is so calm and cool and collected. I mean, he is. Talk about a blue collar, bring your lunch pail to the. I mean, this guy just does not. I mean, he's take care of business. Does he smile? Have you seen him smile? I mean, he's just such a complete package. And another guy that seemed to be perfect, methodically broke down a multi-division former world champion. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. That Chocolito, man, he's a real deal. I like him, man. He's cold business. And, he's talented. You see, he's got the skills. And, hey, I mean, there's guys, these are the fighters of the future, and I was very impressed. I was impressed with that card. And that weekend, man, was just a fantastic fight weekend. I saw a lot of talent out there, man. I said, well, if this is the future of boxing, we're sitting on the right path, But I thought Gonzalez, that was an excellent pay-per-view. And I was saying to a couple of guys I was with, we were at the Garden, and I was saying, I said, now, see, this is the type of stuff that you don't mind paying the dollars for if we were at home.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the type of stuff here that I could, because I like to be at home, man, for these fights, big fights like that. So when the fight is off, I turn the TV off and I go right to bed.
Right.
But, I was at the Garden and that came to mind. I said, see, these are the type of fights that I like to be sitting at home in the theater, and just kick back, man, watching it, enjoying it. Don't mind paying $65, $50, or whatever. Okay? What a big difference from that crap that we've been so used to the last couple of years. It was just an exciting. It was an exciting evening, and I enjoyed it to no end, man.
When you were sitting back nodding out at the Garden and you leaned forward and you said, hey, can you turn down the TV? The guy looked at you like, what the hell are you talking about? You realized that you weren't home, right? You were like, oh, geez, I'm at the Garden, But anyway, some great fights, is no question about that. But speak about some upsets earlier in the week. Devon Alexander, what has happened to him? They hand him a fight that he's supposed to get back on track against. No disrespect to Aaron Martinez, but Devon Alexander was a top. I mean, he was a top fighter, and he loses this fight. Is it a mental thing with him, do you think? I mean, what's going on? I mean, he showed he had the skill at one time.
He didn't change trainers, did he?
No. You know what? He's with one of. No, I don't think he has. He's with
Cunningham, a guy named Cunningham.
Yeah, he's with Cunningham.
A former cop from St. Louis.
Yeah, he's with Cunningham, right? Right.
And he's a very good trainer. You know, I wasn't sure if that was Cunningham in the corner.
Yeah, he's been with him for a while.
He's been with him. Well, you know, Billy, it's like anything else, man. I've been watching Devon Alexander in his last few fights, and I was saying, well, you know, I think he's reached his limit, and you know, it just happens. I don't think he's got it anymore. This was supposed to be his, you know, his comeback, you know, and I mean, you know, he was just out of it, man. You know, it happened. So, you know, they'll probably give him one more shot, and if he doesn't win, you know, that's it. You know, maybe he'll move on and find something else to do. But I was never, ever that excited about him anyway, you know, but he seems to have lost it all, you know.
Yeah, he definitely lost something, right? I mean,
yeah, well, he never was, in my opinion, he never was that devastating, you know. You know, I never had that much appreciation for his talents. I mean, he was just a step above a club fighter, in my opinion. Okay? And it seemed to be proving itself out. You know, this kid that he's fighting wasn't that great. It was supposed to be a fight that he was supposed to come back and win and get back on track. So he couldn't pass the test. And so maybe he'll see the handwriting on the wall and move on to something else.
Hey, did you get my email today?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'm not going to get into it because I wanted to talk to you about something, but I wanted to clear it with you first. So we'll wait till next time. But let me ask you.
Okay.
Well, you know, I mean, in any event, let me ask you this: the lawsuit between Bob Arum and Top Rank against Al Heyman. The first round goes to Al Heyman. They threw out his
first round.
Yeah, the monopolization part and all of this. The judge has ruled that Top Rank has not been able to prove that it has affected them in any way, which it makes sense. I mean, you know, if you're bringing up a lawsuit, you got to show that it affected you. It doesn't matter what somebody's doing in theory. But my thought on this was that maybe they approached the wrong thing. You know, he was focusing on monopolization and TV networks and blah, blah, blah. And as a side note, they mentioned the Muhammad Ali Act. And I believe that, in my opinion anyway, Larry, that if you are going to have any kind of a case against Al Heyman, it would be his role. Is he beating the systems by, you know, acting as a promoter or a manager, but not, you know, getting the licenses for that and blah, blah, blah? I think that is the approach. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, the monopolization thing, it might be a lost cause.
Well, you know, the Muhammad Ali Act is specifically designed to prevent, in short, and I'm not a lawyer, the double dip, as you might say. You know, you can't be a manager and a promoter. That's basically what it is designed for. And the genesis of that whole law goes way back. You know, we don't need to get into all of that. But unless they can prove that that is the case, then I don't see where it's applicable to the situation. No, that's all I can say about that. I mean, they have to prove the proof. The burden of proof seems to be on those people who are bringing the lawsuit. And round one, they certainly haven't proven, you know, a certain aspect of the suit. So we'll just have to see how the rest of this unfolds. I don't know of any situation yet where a PBC event has taken place. We have had a few PBC events, but they weren't being promoted by Al Heyman. They were being promoted by other people. So, and I haven't seen anything, at least in the promotions that we've had, I haven't seen Al Heyman's name anywhere on anything. So, I mean, I don't know. You know, like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I'm sure these guys are paying big bucks to have their complaints pursued. So we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But I can tell you one thing, I'm certainly enjoying some of these fights that we're seeing. And based on what I saw last week, I certainly hope that it keeps coming for a while, at least until this thing comes to its conclusion. But right now, round one goes to Heyman.
That's right. Round one goes to Heyman. Is no doubt about that. Hey, one last thing, Larry. The WBA made a comment today that I found kind of comical, and I just wanted to get your thought. He was defending apparently. I'm not the only one that thinks it's totally ridiculous what the WBA is not even embarrassed about with all their belts that they have in each division. Potentially there could be 5 world champions in each weight division, all claiming to be a world champion between the super championship, the regular championship, the interim championship, the champion in recess, and champion in Muay Thai. Gilberto Jesus Mendoza claims that the reason why they do this is they want to help small countries fight against the big promoters and television networks that they feel control boxing, and they think that the interim type belts is a way to help countries like Peru and Panama, Costa Rica, etc., to stay in the game. He says that the sport is a lot different than it was in the 60s and 70s, and basically we need more belts to help these other fighters. I think it's a smokescreen. I think it's a scam that he even says it. The only person that he's helping is him, their bank account with sanctioning fees. What's your thoughts?
Well, again, we're on the same page on most of these subjects. As far as I'm concerned, how are you helping these countries? You're diluting the sport.
Right.
I don't see how you're helping the country. Your organization is supposed to be designed to help the sport. And when did you become an ambassador to various small countries? I don't understand that. And again, what evidence have they presented to show where they're helping? You're helping the small countries stay in the game when you create all of these interim titles. Well, anybody can fight for those titles.
Exactly.
So, that's not, that to me, that rationale doesn't hold. How are you helping a small country?
Well,
when the titles are there up for grabs for anybody. So the only entity that appears to be benefiting, of course, is the sanctioning organization with the sanctioning fees and all of the other stuff.
Exactly. And the funny thing is the word interim. Years ago, if an organization gave an interim belt, it was because of a reason. Maybe the champion injured himself, maybe he couldn't fight, maybe whatever. And then that interim champion would basically be the champion until the champion was ready to fight. Then he would fight him, and then you would have the regular champion again, right? There would only be one. You wouldn't have both of them. Well, what's happened is the interim belt is like another belt. They win it.
I was getting ready to say, and with your example, with what you're saying, that would be every now and then.
Right, every now and then. Now it's...
But they actually have a belt interim.
Right, and they make defenses of it. That's the thing, So you win an interim belt, and then you defend it a few times, and then you did.
How the hell are you? How the heck can you become a champion in recess?
I know.
I heard that somewhere.
You know what? I don't know. Who knows? And they're helping the countries now. They're helping their bank account, because for every one of these fights, they're getting a sanctioning fee. Come on, man. He was better off not saying anything on it. He should have just said, maybe I better just plead the fifth. Hey, before I let you go, you gotta be happy for my Mets, right? You gotta be happy for them Mets, right? What talk about fighters, right?
My wife's a Mets fan. Wow, she's happy.
I tell you, I'm loving it. I just hope, we talk about performance enhancing drugs all the time, and like I said, I'm a big Mets fan, and I'm just like praying. I'm going, Murphy, please please don't have it come out that you were taking something, because I mean, this guy, he's not even a home run hitter. He breaks the Beltran record with 6 home runs, man.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I know.
But
he's really having, I'd like to negotiate his next contract.
And it's up. That's the funny thing. It's up. And they were saying, oh, the Mets are never going to keep him. And I'm saying to myself, well, how could you get rid of him now? I mean, he's put the team on his back, But real fun stuff between boxing and in New York at the Garden, and the Mets in the World Series. I mean, it's going to be a good couple of weeks coming up. So anyway, Larry, I appreciate your time and your insight and all that stuff, and I look forward to the next time, my man.
Okay, and what I'm going to do, I haven't been into that other website. That's Larry Hazzard Senior. I'm so busy. I'm always in my other in my other email. But I'll get that email, Billy, and I'll see what, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, sounds good, my man.
Okay?
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Billy.
All right. That's my man, Larry Hazzard. He's the New Jersey boxing commissioner and also a boxing Hall of Famer, giving us his thoughts. And like usual, he's on the same page as me. Triple G, he's the next guy, man. People just got to start giving him credit. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, we're scheduled to have Dax Khan, and he's going to present his case for this whole Pritchard Cologne situation. And it's a doozy. All of that's coming up in about 2.